Building your dream team. That is the subject for today. Now, I love that movie, The Dream Team. Did any of you see it? It was with Michael Keaton, and I think it was Christopher Lloyd in it, and maybe Peter. I don't know. There were a lot of different actors in it. It was really funny. I enjoyed it immensely when I was younger. I have not seen it for 20 years probably, but it came to mind as soon as I talked about The Dream Team. So I don't know. Let me know if you enjoyed that movie too, because I did. I enjoyed it very much, and that comes to mind when I talk about building the dream team. And in today's video, we're going to talk about building that group of expert advisors that are going to get you to your finish line. That doesn't mean end of life. I mean finish line in terms of your financial goals. Hopefully getting you to financial freedom, which I would say most people, that's their goal. They're trying to get to that financial freedom line where they feel at ease with their money. They don't feel like they're held back by anything, that they can just enjoy their life the way they want to. And whether that means retiring early, retiring at the normal time, never retiring, selling a business, building a business, whatever that means, whatever financial freedom means for them. That is what most people, I would say 99.99% of people, are looking to do. And if you are new here, welcome. I'm Lisa, and this is what I help people do. I'm a financial advisor. I have been for over 14 years, and I help people get to that finish line of crossing their financial goals, hopefully getting to financial freedom, and just being able to sort out their financial life better than the rest, hopefully, because my guidance is so amazing. Okay, so today we're going to talk about building that dream team, as I talked about. Now, I hope this is okay with you. I'm not a huge team person, meaning I don't like the word team. I feel like it's very overused. As my husband always says, there's a lot of I in team, which is a joke, of course. And I feel like posse is a better word, mainly because it's cute. I kind of enjoy saying it. It's kind of fun. You know, finance is not that fun for a lot of people, so let's make it a little spicy. And so I'm going to call them your expert posse, and hopefully you enjoy that. If you don't, well, I'm sorry. I've already recorded the video, so you're just going to get used to it if you don't like it. Okay. All right. So as you build your expert posse, there are a lot of things that people get a little overwhelmed in. Who should be part of it? How do I do this? How do I not mess up? And oftentimes people will push this off because they don't know how to do it. And so they're scared. And so this is to take that fear away from you and help you get to your financial future, because really nothing should be holding you back. And this process of putting together your posse should not be one of those things holding you back. I would hate for this to be a barrier, because this is easily broken. You can easily get through this stuff. So we're going to go through a couple of different rules that you should think about when you're building your expert posse of financial helpers. Okay, so rule number one is know what you need. Okay, so I'm going to paint you a picture. I'm going to pick on the banker just because everybody's had this experience probably. Let's say you're a small business owner, even if you're not, just imagine you are, and you walk into the bank and you sit down with the banker and they say, "How can I help you today?" And you say, "I own a small business. What do I need to do?" That's going to throw them off because they don't know where to start. They don't know where you've been. Hopefully you get a good person who actually starts asking those questions. But if you don't, you could get somebody who is, sneaky and a little bit of a snake and just sees this as an opportunity to sell and open up all these different accounts that you don't need, which is a pain. And they could steer you the wrong direction. So instead of giving your power away, which sounds very like Friends, there's that Friends episode that they, I know Friends way too well. There's that Friends episode where the girls are reading this book on power and they're like, "Don't give your power away." And they have all these silly things. It's silly as that sounds, you are giving your power away. You are basically saying, "I know nothing, lead me, person I don't know." And you don't want to do that. So you want to walk in and you want to say, "I'm a small business owner. I need a bank account. I believe I need a credit card. I need to put in the name of the business. What do you need from me for that? Here, all the paperwork of opening up my corporation if that's what you have, things like that. That's what you will do. You might talk to them about some liability stuff. Although, you know, a lot of banks won't do insurance. You should probably go to an insurance agent for liability insurance and things like that. But just different things. Having a good conversation with them. And coming in like that, you now have the power back. You control the power in the conversation. And as you get into the conversation, you can say, you know, is there anything you think I'm missing that I need to be thinking about? And if they bring up something, ask lots of questions. Don't be afraid. If they start talking in, you know, finance language and it gets overwhelming, just say, I don't know what that means, or how will that benefit me, or is there some resources you can give me that I can look into it? Don't feel rushed into doing all this stuff. Because we don't like this process, we just rush through it, and you make lots of mistakes and you end up having to clean up a big mess because of that. And maybe it's just you opened up too many accounts, but gosh, you know how, I mean, people know how horrible this is trying to close accounts. It can be a mess. You don't want to go through that. So know what you need. Have some basic idea when you come into those conversations. Rule number 2 is know who are the role players. You know, who are the people that are going to be part of your posse. And this is a question I get a lot because people aren't quite sure who they should have be part of this group that is going to help them get to their financial freedom. So obviously I'm partial to this. I think a financial advisor fits for most people. There's this fallacy that financial advisors are only for wealthy people or rich people, or you have to have a lot of money to work with a financial advisor. That's not true, and it's particularly not true now because there are more advisors out there, and I am one of them, that will charge like a monthly charge to work with you, charge an annual charge. You don't need to have, you know, money to manage in order to work with them. So there are plenty of them out there. Now, there are plenty of advisors who only give advice, and then there are plenty of advisors like me who give advice and help with managing investments, money management, they call it, but in managing your assets or your investments. And so there's that kind of hybrid person like me. I do that. I like giving the advice so I know how we should invest the money. You know, I think they go hand in hand, and I work best that way, and the clients I work with work best that way. But there are investment managers who only do money management. They take care of your investments, they help you with that kind of stuff, and they really aren't advice givers. Now, some of them say they are. They're not. They don't really want to do that part of it. It's kind of like, I have to say I do that so that you'll become a client. You really need to suss that stuff out. And we'll go through the interview process in a second as another rule. But figure out, is this person the investment manager? Are they also advice people, or are they just investment people? And here's a good trick to know this. And it doesn't, by the way, this doesn't mean if they're investment people only that you shouldn't work with them. You just need to know what their role is, right? If you like what they put together, you get a good feeling from them, you think that they can manage your money well, you can always find an advisor who will work alongside them. Or maybe they have an advisor in their office who is just an advisor or will partner with them on that. It's okay. But you just need to know everybody's role. And so when you're sitting down with an investment manager, see what their focus is. If they start asking you about your goals and what you've accomplished and, you know, gathering information from you and really having that conversation about like what you want, and then they kind of say, I can also help with money and managing your money, oftentimes they're an advisor who will manage your money. If they immediately start saying, how has your performance been? Have you been happy with it? Have you not been happy with it? Has it been keeping up with the S&P 500? And they kind of start just kind of going at the investments. And that is the crux of your conversations with them, is like they take your statements and they do a review, and then they say, I would do it this way because these are wrong, and you know, that kind of stuff. That's probably an investment manager. They're probably not an advice person because they didn't focus on anything with advice. So that's a good rule of thumb. Again, not bad, just for you to know. Okay, another person you should probably have in your Posse is an accountant or CPA or an EA, which is an enrolled agent that can also help with taxes. Somebody that can help you with your taxes, maybe a bookkeeper if you're business, things like that, but mainly tax professionals. Now, some people will do their own taxes, and that's okay. But a lot of people don't like doing their own taxes. So make sure you have a tax professional that you have a good relationship with and that you can ask questions of. That's important. You may want to make sure that you are having conversations with them about what's going on with your taxes and that they're planning with you. Some tax professionals plan, some don't plan. Again, expectations, need to understand what that looks like. We will go through that in the interview process of how to do that. You might need an attorney. So for businesses, you might need a business attorney. And for just regular people out there that are, doing their thing, maybe work at a company or even a business owner, many people need an estate planning attorney. Estate planning attorneys don't necessarily help you manage your wealth, but they do help you protect things and make sure things are going in the right buckets and that kind of stuff. So an estate planning attorney you might not have all the time, but you might need to check in with them every 4 or 5 years, and I'm sure there's other attorneys screaming out there going, it's got to be more than that or less than that. However, it works with them in their process, right? But an attorney is often somebody we do need it from time to time to help us, whether we own a business or we don't. Another person is, we talked about bankers, especially if you own a business, having a banker or somebody you trust is a good idea. That's harder and harder because people in the banks kind of seem to rotate, but just having a good relationship with your bank is a good idea. And then an insurance agent, you will need that for obviously home, auto, renters, whatever you need for that kind of stuff. And maybe for some personal stuff like life insurance, disability, long-term care. And again, that can be hybrid. So I don't do home, auto, fire, earthquake. I don't do any of that stuff. But I do help people with life insurance, long-term care, and disability because those things affect their finances, their protection against problems that might happen, the protection for your assets, essentially. So I do help with that kind of stuff. Does that mean I won't work with somebody if they already have an insurance agent? No, of course not. That's not, of course I wouldn't do that. But you want to make sure that you have an insurance agent that you like, that checks in with you, that is, again, very consultative and helping you with what you need and not just selling a product. We will go through that again in the interview because the interview is important. All right, rule number 3 is research thoroughly. So, people can do a Google search and see stuff. I've heard people go to Yelp and hire their estate planning attorneys that way. I mean, you can do that, but I would say you'd probably want to do more than that. But you might want to look at their LinkedIn profile. You might want to look at YouTube videos that they do. You might want to look at, just their online presence and see what they look like. Look at their website, see if it gels with you. If it's a bunch of stuff you don't understand or the pictures drive you crazy, you might not want to join them. I know that sounds petty, but this is, you still want to have that relationship that you don't feel like, oh, this is some slime ball that I'm just kind of getting through it with. You want to actually enjoy having these people around because you will rely on them more if you feel like you have that relationship with them. And, obviously you can look for referrals from friends, family, mentors, all those people out there. And, essentially, as we get into rule number 4, which is interview, this is another way you can do it with certain people. You can have them review things. So your interview should be, making a list of questions, setting out expectations. This is what I expect from your role. Is that jive with what you do? And, that person will say yes or no. Or this is the way, how do you work with your clients? And see if that matches with you. Expectations are not talked about enough, and they should be when you are putting this expert posse group together. Because posse group, it's the same thing. Posse together. As basically you want to make sure you have that expectation. You talk about fees, you talk about commissions, you talk about all that stuff, how they work together, how much you should be expecting to hear from them, what, how available are they for you to just call them out of the whim. things like that. You want to go through communication style and all that. But you might want to use that interview process as a way to have them review something. So oftentimes people in my industry are used to, and not just financial advisors, anybody that I'm talking about essentially in the finance world that's going to help you get to your financial freedom, they are used to reviewing things and explaining what they would do differently. Whether it's looking at investments, it's looking at your situation. Sometimes financial advisors are willing to do like a free mini plan or, a couple recommendations so that you can kind of get a sense of their style. Investment managers will often look at statements and tell you what they would do differently. Tax professionals will look through past taxes and say, here's some things that were missed. Insurance agents will look at insurance and say, here's some different coverages that you might consider. And that's not a bad thing. Yes, they're all going to come to you with something different. Here's the value I bring, right? That's part of it. We're in sales too, as much as we are in service. But at the same time, it's a great way to kind of get a sense of how they work and who they are. And also, if they're talking to you in a way that you understand. I've done many videos about that. I will not hit that nail again, but I promise you that is important. If you do not understand what they're talking about, that is not your person. It's just not, because things are going to go badly in life. A loved one passes away, things like that. And you need them to be able to communicate with you in a way that you can understand in good times and in bad times. Very important. Rule number 5, looking for red flags. It sounds mean to say go into this looking for red flags, but you kind of should. These are important people that are taking care of important things for you. And you need to be looking for red flags, because those red flags, and address them. Address the red flag with the person. And if you don't like their answer, then they're not your person. And it's okay. You'll find somebody else. But you just need to see, if they're not listening to you, that's a red flag. And if you say, I'm not sure if I feel like I'm being heard, and they don't course correct, move on. You just need people that are going to be in your corner taking care of you. That's the most important thing. Because this is a lot of work you're putting into this. Don't just throw that away for, things. Oh, well, he was so highly recommended. She has such great reviews. If they're not your person, you've wasted a lot of time with people that aren't doing the best thing for you. Or just, it doesn't even mean they're bad. It just means that they're just not your right fit, and it's okay. Building a collaborative team. So this is why, and I guess just a team, collaborative posse, I should say. I know it says team, and that's what I did. Collaborative posse. So this is why I think a financial advisor is critical to your posse. Because a lot of times we can be that little mark in the middle with you, trying to make sure everybody's communicating the right way. Because oftentimes I feel like I feel bad for clients going through this. They'll go to the wrong expert on things, or the expert has questions on something that they're working on together, and then they say, go to your tax professional and ask this. And poor client does not understand what that means, or doesn't understand the nuance in the question. So then they go to tax professional and say, hey, tax person, the state person is asking this, can you help me with this? And the tax person's like, I don't know what they're talking about, or they're wrong, or did they mean this instead? And then you're like, okay, well, hold on a sec, I'll go back to this person. And then the state, this can be a mess. And everybody hates this, and I get that. And the financial advisor can help you be that kind of pinpoint to get communications open. I will be on calls with estate planning attorneys, with tax people. I will say, the estate planning attorney has this question. Well, that's interesting. Introduce me to the estate planning attorney and let me find out exactly what their question is so we can go to the tax person with that. So I feel like I try to be the hub for a lot of clients if they want that service. And so you just want to make sure you have a collaborative group that's working together and not going in 15 different directions, because that could hurt you as well. And the reason I even did this video was I've had situations where a client comes to me and they say, I was talking to my mortgage person about X, Y, and Z issue. And I think that's not a mortgage question. We should run, like they're like, oh, I want to do an income property. Okay, but we should have talked about income property first on our side and built that into your plan, and you have a better idea of like what you should be buying and what your goals are with this, and then we have more information to take it to the mortgage broker. Because the mortgage broker, there are lots of wonderful ones out there, obviously, but that's not their job to suss out how this works with the rest of your plan. And there are also some very transactional brokers out there. We've all experienced them before, I'm sure. And you don't want them just saying, you should do this, you should do this, you should do, here's the rate, here's the thing, let's go, let's get you pre-approved. You don't want that. So going and having this posse that is able to work together, going to your financial advisor as your first stop is often the easiest way to do this, because they're going to say, if they're good, they're going to say, let me go with you to the mortgage person. Let me put together an email so that you can use that when you're having this discussion with your mortgage person, when you're having this discussion with your tax person, when you're having a discussion with your estate planning attorney. All of that's really important. So I think these situations keep coming up, and I think people don't realize the different roles and how you should be going about it so that you're not put in a bad position overall, hurting yourself, right? And then rule number 7 is very easy. Review regularly. Make sure that they are still your person. Sometimes just because you've had an advisor, an investment manager, CPA, whatever, for 10 years does not mean that they're the right person for you anymore. Maybe life circumstances have changed for you or for them, and it's just not the right fit. And it's okay to change your expert pool. If you've gone this direction and they're still here, or they've gone that direction, it's okay. It happens. What is important is you take care of you, okay? Because nobody else is going to take care of you like you are. So your money deserves the best posse it can have. And so you might as well start building it up today. It's the end of the year. I'm filming this at the end of 2024. 2025 should be that year that you are building this group of experts to make sure that you are doing your best work. So until next time, take care, and I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.